Welcome back, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. It's always a pleasure having you, and that was all that's happening on sports. I told you James got you. Now we switch gears a bit. We go to politics because and today we're not really delving into politics per se. We're looking into leadership, youth leadership and what we want and how we can create a better Kenya, with better leaders and us as leaders, even as youth. So reimagining leadership for new Kenya. And we're looking into a very interesting event that will be happening this week. That is the Intergenerational Dialogue Conference. And this is, to bridge the gap. There's been a gap, a disconnect between the youth and the leadership, and that's why we have had some conflict. So we're looking into all this, and for this particular conversation, I have been joined by two experts, and they'll be telling us more about what they do. Right next to me, I have Mumbwa Chalo, who is a civilian administrative officer at Kenya Army, and David Riungu, who's the officer in charge at Lower Airstrip, Kenya Airports Authority. But today they come in different capacities, and they'll be telling us their role at the Public Service Youth Forum. So let me just go to the president so that you can tell us more.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Like you said, my name is David Riungu. I work for Kenya Airports Authority, and I am the officer in charge of Lodway Airstrip. And more to that, I am the president of the Public Service Youth Forum, and I'm also the chairperson of the executive committee of the Public Service Youth Forum, where I offer leadership and direction as we, delve into issues affecting the youth in the public service.
All right.
Thank you.
Great, amazing. And I'll come back to you to tell us more about this forum, but let me go to you, Mumbwa. Yes. Tell us about your role.
Okay, my name is Mumbwa Chalo from the Ministry of Defense. I work as a civilian administrative officer where I'm able to supervise and manage the civilian staff at Kenya Army headquarters. And yeah, honestly speaking, this has been one of the best jobs that I have done. I'm very passionate about it. And I also sit as an advisor to the Public Service Youth Forum at the executive committee level. And yeah, also this has also been one of the main things that I have done or achievements that I have made this far as a young public officer.
All right, great, amazing. And we want to hear more about this. So the Public Service Youth Forum, tell us about it.
Okay, the Public Service Youth Forum was constituted in 4th December last year. When there was an invitation from the Kenya School of Government in every organization to have the youthful generation nominate the organizations who are mandated with nominating 2 or 3 youths, depending with the size of each organization. Then we met at the Kenya School of Government for a 2-day conference, whereby we discussed various issues affecting the youth in the public service and why we need to have a public service that is vibrant, resilient, and citizen-centered. This is why now we came up with this working group called the Executive Committee of the Public Service Youth Forum, where I sit as the president of the Public Service Youth Forum and the chairperson of the Executive Committee. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the need that was seen to bring the youths together, especially in the public service?
Oh, thank you for that. This was necessitated by the accountability protest that came about last year, whereby the government saw it fit to have the youth who are in the public service together and, come up with ways and listen to them, because that accountability protest was about what do the youth want then. The government decided to call upon the youth in the public service to have a conversation about what they need and maybe to have an inclusive leadership in governance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. Okay. That's great. And does that let me ask you, Mambo, does that represent so far the youths in Kenya? Is it effective to also see the needs of the youths, those that are not in public service as well?
Yeah, I believe so. Stephanie, thank you very much for the question. I think the mindset of our leaders was that it's easier to reach out to the youth in public service first, and use this same youth in public service to reach out to the youth outside there in the larger population. So I think this was actually a really, really strategic move, because once we are able to convene as a youth population in public service, because you realize that this accountability process all goes down to the problems in service delivery in government. So once we are able to fix our house internally, it's very easy for us to reach out to the youth out there. So yeah, I think that was a very strategic move.
All right,
Yeah.
amazing. And looking at, before we come, because I'm curious about what are some of the areas that you have seen and problems that the youth face. But when we talk about youth leadership, so my question is, what does youth leadership look like in modern Kenya in this current time? What does it look like for you?
Yeah, thank you for that, Stephanie. The youth leadership, these are people who are tech savvy. These are people who know what they want. And so we came together with an intention to create a working group that is going to listen and have a dialogue with the senior citizens in Kenya, those senior officers within the government, to have a conversation about taking the Kenya that we want forward. Yes.
All right. And to you, Mumba, still the same question, because you spoke about the accountability protest that happened last year, and it was majorly because the youths felt that their needs are not being addressed, and they also want to be in leadership. How can we bring this together from what you've seen?
Yeah, from what I've seen and from what I believe is that the easiest way to bring all these generations together is through having an intergenerational dialogue. And the easiest way to actually make it sustainable is to have this frequently, because I believe this something like an intergenerational conversation could shift, could bring about that culture shift. So that's one of the ways that we will be able to bridge that gap, and to ensure that the youths now feel listened to, they feel heard, and they feel included, because that was actually the issue. They feel like they are not represented well in leadership positions. They felt like they are not listened to, they are not heard. So that's one of the ways to bridge that disconnect between the younger people and the seasoned officers. And another thing is also to root in a culture of mentorship. Maybe institutionalize mentorship and ensure that there's policies that actually protect mentorship, and ensure that these mentorship structures, like say for example, this is just an example, say the government says at the age of 55 years, once you get to 55 years and you're to retire at 60 years, you need to have a mentee. It should be a must, like it's a must-do thing. If they're able to do that, then it's very easy, because you realize that one has reached 60 years and they have to live with all that institutional memory that they have along with them. And sometimes they even have to have extensions, of which I know the government is actually fighting, having extensions, because once you extend past 60 years, what about the growth?
Deny an opportunity to
Yeah,
someone else.
you deny an opportunity to someone else, an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for employment. So I think these are some of the things that we should be able to come together and co-create solutions about.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing, and we've had this talks about, and the event is on intergenerational dialogue, and you'll tell us more about it. But we've had this conversation about the generational gap that has been there for a very long time, and the youths feel that the older generation perceive them as They want things very quickly,
Yeah.
you know, the instant coffee kind of generation. But the youths feel like they know what they want. You know, we understand, we know our rights, we know what we want, we can do this, we don't need to work for 20, you know, for 12 hours, 8 hours a day for me to be. So the times are different from how we live and from how they lived. So how is that? I'm still trying to see, how are you trying to this perception that they have and the perception that the older generation have, you know, how are you seeing this play out?
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Like you said, the youth in the government are feeling like they are iced out, and you know, this brings about a conversation to have an harmonized way of working with the experienced generation who are within the public service. And I believe this is why we are offering the Intergenerational Dialogue Conference to come together and see the best way to work together, and with the aim of improving the service delivery for the Kenya we want.
Okay.
And so I believe that once we come together on 26, 27, and 28, we'll have many deliverables that will come out of that conference. We listen to the youth, what they have to say about governance and why they need to call the leadership of this nation to the table and ask questions that we expect them to answer.
Okay, so tell us about the conference, because you've already begun.
Yeah.
What is to be expected for the youth who wants to come? With the other leaders, will they be there? You know, how are these 3 days going to be?
Yes, we have invited various leaders within the government, the CSs. I know for instance, the CS for Public Service and Human Capital Development will be there, and also we are expecting a huge number of youths. I don't have the data now, but we're expecting quite a number of them. And one day, we'll talk about leadership, legacy, and the future of public service, and whereby we'll center on issues like setting the values and also setting the future trends for public service. Then day 2 will also delve into innovation, wellness, and sustainable governance.
Okay.
Yes, then we'll have a third day whereby we'll look at, you see, the post-conference engagements that includes the frameworks and pipelines for implementation of whatever will come out of the conference. Yeah.
All right. So whatever will come out, and maybe I can ask you, whatever the youths are going to agree on or discuss on, they have a guarantee? Because again, some people say these things we have talked, these things we have already said it, you know, again and again. Because I remember last year again, those were the sentiments of the young people. We have already said what we want. We want jobs, we want this, we want opportunities, we want, so, but they feel like they are unheard even in after dialogues and whatnot. So how are you ensuring that whatever is going to be discussed, that their voices are actually heard, and there's kwa ground things are actually shifting? Kwa ground vitu zinakuanga different sometimes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stephanie, for that amazing question. One thing I believe is that life meets you at your level of audacity. So we need to be very audacious. So, and what we are pushing for, actually, and that's why we have all the leaders on board, is for our seat at the table. We are pushing for partnership. We are pushing to be mentored. We are pushing to be listened to. We are pushing to have a seat at these decision-making tables. And one of the things that we plan to do is to come up with a communique or a declaration after this conference, whereby we are able to come next year in the next intergenerational dialogue, pre-intergenerational dialogue, sit with these leaders and tell them, this is what we talked about in the last intergenerational dialogue. How far are we with this? So that's why we have the executive committee and the public service youth forum, because I believe we cannot have the intergenerational dialogue, then just go and sit pretty. I think it's important for us to have that dialogue and hit the ground running. So it's up to us to actually follow what was agreed on or agreed upon in this dialogue that we're having. So I would 100% say that this will be dependent on us, the young people in public service. How far we are able to push buttons on what will be agreed in this intergenerational dialogue. Because you cannot just sit down and say, you know what, I will wait for the next intergenerational dialogue, go complain again, then come back home. It cannot work like that. We need to move from theory to the actual practice, whereby we are able to say, we want this form of representation in decision-making tables. Go to our leaders and ask them or hold them accountable, like, how far are we with this CS? How far are we with this, Mr. President? Because I think this is one of the things that we need to do as a young people. We just cannot be holding dialogues and just going back home. So that the action part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the action part is very important,
Very
and
important.
it's something that you're intentional about.
Yeah.
Let me ask, what are some of the challenges that you've seen, that you've picked up so far, even from the youth forum, that the young people, even in public service, are going through? Tell us about it, David.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. The youth are facing various challenges. To begin with, it is that the barriers to be heard. The youth want to, make changes within the government, but they don't have that chance to, be involved in the policy making. So that is one of the biggest barriers they are facing. Another challenge that the youth are facing is lack of inclusion during the processes within the government. And so we believe that if we call them and give them these opportunities, we'll be able to have a conversation. And also, I believe that exposure is something very important if we are to go by. So one of the biggest challenges is the exposure that the youth are facing, and limited capacities for self-capacity building. You find like, this is common knowledge in the public service, you find like limited opportunities come for the youth to advance, but these opportunities are given to the seniors within the public service. So it becomes very difficult for a youth who is struggling with, their life support, and also they are expected to go and do a course that they are supposed to chip in and pay for with their own money. So this edges them out when it comes to, competitions, because if they are tasked with a decision to make between paying for training and sustaining their life, they will go for the easy way out, which will be sustenance. So these are some of the challenges that the youth are facing, and we are calling the government to see how we can support the youth, expose them and give them avenues of making decisions in this country.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah.
And you had said something on the plan of the conference, and you mentioned that there's a talk on innovation that should be around day 2, right? To ask you, Mumbwa, the current youth are very innovative. I have interviewed there are so many. Kenya is Africa's Silicon Savannah. Yeah. So how can public service institutions, public institutions, tap into the youth's innovativeness to improve even service delivery?
First thing is thank you very much, Stephanie, for that. And one of the things that the public service institutions can use to tap onto that is to collaborate with them. The easiest way into tapping into someone's skill is to actually sit at the table and bring them right next to you. Tell them, I would wish to listen to the kind of innovations that you have. And also allow an environment where people are actually really able to innovate. Also, they can be able to be rewarded. You can reward innovation. You can be like, you know what? We have this problem facing the public service. We are calling in for innovations from young people. Because young people are really, really, just as you have said, they're very innovative. So this is one of the ways whereby we are able to create an environment where they can be able to innovate. We are able to reward them for the good innovations they've had. And you realize that one of the challenges maybe in public service in terms of innovation, a young person will innovate something and an older person will run with it.
True.
Yeah. So what we want is let that young person who's innovated that, who's made that big innovation, let them be heard, let them be seen, let them be known, give them the visibility. put them out there. Be like, okay, this one deserves a state commendation. He or she was able to solve this and this, and we actually outsource some things that the youth in public service are able to innovate. So I think creating that enabling environment whereby young people are able to say, you know what, we have these problems and I have this innovation, and have them out there like, this is the person who created this innovation. That's like a form of reward, or trying to motivate these young people. Yeah, so you realize that you'll get very many innovations and you do not have to outsource some of these things that we outsource. Yeah, so I think that's one of the ways.
All right, and when it comes to that, because listening to Kenyan innovators, they usually say it's the environment that's not supportive. Is this also being addressed? Because they say, you know, yes, we talk about Kenya being the Silicon Savannah, but you find that most of these brains, they go and they create innovations for the Western countries, you know, because they are ready to invest in them, to buy from them, to hear from them, you know, to support them, other than Kenya. That, you know, so how, you know, is this being addressed as well?
Yeah, I think it is. I believe it's being addressed because you realize that the government has been really big on supporting innovation. And then there's this new system that comes up whereby we have innovation hubs, we have contests and competitions, the challenges and all that. So I think I believe the government is actually addressing that. We are not there yet, I would say, but something is really being done. So we are hoping that we keep growing, we keep progressing with this innovation agenda, because I believe innovation can take a country very far, very far. Yeah,
I totally agree. Look at China, for
instance. Yeah, and Singapore actually.
And Singapore, yeah. Absolutely. And the president the other day said in his State of the Nation address, he said, you know, steps that he's taking to make sure that Kenya is going to Singapore, becomes the next Singapore. To you, David. You know, Kenya has one of the youngest populations. Africa has the youngest population, but Kenya has a lot of young people there. How can we, what opportunities would you say this presents, even for governance and national development?
Okay, thank you for that, Stephanie. Looking at the future of Kenya and its population, data shows that 5% of 75% of the Kenyan population is made up of the youthful generation. That is a very rich wealth of young people who can now be trained on various skills in order to take up leadership roles. We have a lot of things that we can do. I see that the government is engaging the youth in things like the Nyota. They are exposed to things like the Youth Development Fund. And when these opportunities are given to them now, they can be able to advance themselves. But then they need mentorship and support, so that even when you give them resources, you can be able to follow it up and ensure that actually they are doing something worthwhile. And I also believe that having that is why even we are exporting labor outside, because Kenya is rich in young generation. And one of the reasons why we are having intergenerational dialogue is because we need to mentor this youthful generation to take up the leadership roles later. Because when we have people running with organizations and there are no clear structures for mentorship, then we'll face a crisis. Then this has necessitated us to come up with something called the Young Leaders Transformational Program that is meant now to address these issues, whereby young people can be taken through channels of leadership and structures in order to emerge as leaders for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I think that's great, giving them that opportunity to be mentored. Now, would you say that the young people are ready to take up the leadership positions that they come even in the next elections? Because in this particular platform, we also interview aspirants, or hopefuls that are young people like us, and they're very hopeful that they want to change the nation, and some have the opinion that they don't want to be associated with any a political party per se. They don't want to be associated with the government. They don't want to be associated with any opposition. So they feel like they want to be go independent in it, and it could be explained with a lot of things. But is this the way to go? Are they ready, and is this the way to go from where you're sitting?
Yeah, thank you. I think the youth have their voices, and they need to be listened to, because there is a reason why they are saying whatever they are saying. History tells us that when we look at the future of a country, we cannot ignore politics, because someone said that, an Indian minister once said that when politics tumble, the country pays. And therefore, as much as the youth want to be free, we cannot ignore the influence of politics in making the decisions of a country and moving forward. So calling them to dialogue is one of the issues to address this kind of dissatisfaction that they are having. And I believe that they need more civic education about why governance and engaging themselves in politics is important for a country to move forward. Without directly involving themselves in politics, there are many ways they can do. They have a right to vote. They have a right to be heard at the ballot. So, yeah, I believe that when the youth talk about they don't want to be involved is not the best way. I disagree with that, because you can only change a country by doing something about it, and you cannot do something. You cannot do something about it by running away from responsibility.
Yeah, you cannot be passive about it. So you have to participate in it. Amazing. I don't know if you want to add something to it, Mumbwa. You were
I totally want to agree with our Mr. President. I think it's very important for us to not only sit down and just push towards being active leaders, active decision makers, because just like I said, you can't keep complaining about something, yet you sit in these spaces and you are very, very passive about it. So I think it's for us to sometimes demand seats at this table, at the decision making tables. Yeah.
All right. Moving away from that, onto something that also matters to the youth is accountability and trust. So how can the public service rebuild this trust with the young people?
By listening to them, by calling them to a table or into a room and actually having real conversations with them. I believe the easiest way to kind of listen or to kind of take action towards something is to have sit-downs, like have conversations with these people. Listen to them, and let them, in as much as they are complaining, let them also suggest possible solutions, because realize some problems that we do have, solutions are usually within us.
Yeah.
People are very innovative out here. People are very creative. They're creative thinkers. And I think the easiest way to be able to ensure that a certain generation or a certain population is heard is to call them to a table, listen to them, co-create solutions. They will say that maybe the problem they're facing is probably outdated policies. Let them suggest possible solutions. Let's partner, let's collaborate.
Yeah.
Let's think this out together, not against each other,
but together.
Because realize that even the older generation the seasoned public officers, they have this institutional memory. They know more about the institution more than anyone else. So it's important for them to also come at the table and be like, you know what, ever since I've worked in this institution, this is how things have been running. Then bring that young person, and they will probably say, I want us to move away from having things done in 2 days to having things done in 1 day or an hour. And that's actually how we'll make better the public service that everyone is yearning for. And it, of course, if the public service is very efficient in service delivery, then that makes everything easier out there, even for the larger population, because you realize that systems are moving, things are working, and everything is just moving towards the right direction. And that's actually progress. That's what we call progress. We keep bettering things. We keep bettering systems
Every other day.
every other day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Before now, you tell us about the outcomes that you're hoping to see after the conference, and some you've already talked about. But we have also looked into a lot into what the public service can do better. You know, what government can do better. But now, what can the youths do better as well? Because are the youths perfect? I don't think we are ourselves. But yeah, Mr. President, what do you think the youths can do better?
I think there are a lot of things that the youth can do better. We say that there is no lack of expertise within the youth. It is just a lack of resolve to make it happen. And I believe the youth can, contribute in digital transformation of this nation through innovation, and they can suggest ways of which the government and bring up ways in which the government can leverage on technology to better service delivery. And I believe this is what they can offer because they are tech savvy. Like when you're in a house and you have juniors, you would find it, a parent is giving their son or their daughter a phone to help them with the settings. And I believe that when we call the youth to the table and support them, give them the resources that they need, then they can be of good use in terms of technological advancement.
Absolutely. Yes. Amazing. Yeah, so they can tap into that gift that they have in innovation and use it for the betterment of service, right? What mindset shift do the young people need to have in order to come together, work together, build a country that we will one day be proud of, have a legacy?
Yeah, the mindset shift is the mindset, a learning mindset. I think the young people need that learning mindset where we are able to listen, we're able to learn, we're able to realize that we are not perfect, we're able to realize that we do not know everything, and we're also able to realize that we need other generations for us to make Kenya better. Kenya cannot be made better by only a single generation. All generations need to come together for us to have the Kenya we want and for us to have that public service we want, because the seasoned public officers bring the institutional memories, the institutional history, so that we're able to learn and not repeat the same mistakes that they made. It's important for us to collaborate with them, to partner with them, to listen to them, because I would say one of the things that I always say is that mentorship is two-way. I can teach you about innovation and you can teach me about the institutional memory. So mentorship does not lean towards from a senior to a junior officer. It could be reverse. Yeah, it could be reverse mentorship. I can teach you about technology or an innovation that I have, and you can teach me about how systems ran back then, the traditional way of leadership. And I think this is one of the ways that we need to accept. We need to allow ourselves to learn from our older generations, and we need to allow ourselves to collaborate with them, to co-create solutions, because the public service we want, one generation cannot run with that, honestly speaking. That's why we're having the Intergenerational Dialogue Conference.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. So learning and collaborating,
Yes.
that's what the young people need to do.
Yes.
And tapping into the skills, the digital savviness to make our service better. Now, what does the intergenerational conference mean to Kenya, the one that's coming, and even the one, because you said it will be annually, every other year. What does it mean to Kenya?
The intergenerational dialogue means that there will be a voice for all to be heard, where experience will meet energy of the young people. We can, the senior citizens within organizations have a lot of, like my colleague Mumbua said, institutional memory. They have a lot of experience, but now when you think about what we expect to have is that there needs to be some sort of synergy between that experience and the tech savviness of the young generation. And that blend is what will move Kenya forward. Because whereby we have two generations, one generation speaking with a different language from the other generation, then that slows us down. But when we come together in a conference and we address this issue this year, then next year we can add on to what the inaugural intergenerational dialogue conference did not address. And this is a very good platform for Kenya, whereby before we didn't have such a platform for the youth and the older generation, or rather the seasoned public officers and the young ones, to come to the table and have a discussion. So this intergenerational dialogue conference offers that platform. And I believe going forward, if we get a lot of support from, you know, private partners and various ministries, departments and agencies, we take it positively, we are going to realize a lot of positive change.
Absolutely. It's amazing. And now, from what you said, how can the young people, the institutions come together to make sure that this is actually a success, and that we are all together transforming our public service? How can other people come, partner, and contribute to this dialogue?
Okay. First of all, we were able to invite all the MDAs. A letter was done for invitation to all MDAs to nominate young people and senior officers, because when you're talking about intergenerational dialogue, Stephanie, you realize that we cannot talk about the youth alone. We also need the seasoned public officers. So this is one of the ways we were able to call in the public service to do this. And I will say a huge thank you to the Director General of the Kenya School of Government, Professor Nura. He's been really, really supportive towards the planning of this. Letters were written from his office to the various MDAs. And yeah, we actually say that we are having a positive response, because we've had very many MDAs coming in to support. We've also reached out to the various private sector organizations, because we realize that you cannot talk about the public service we want without talking about the both sectors, the private sector and the public sector. Yeah. So we've also been able to have meetings with them. We've also written to them. We've also had conversations and meetings with them. And this being the first, the inaugural one, we really have done a lot in regards to bringing everyone on board and having this consultative meetings and having this this channel where we are able to say, you know what, the public sector is well represented, the private sector is well represented, and we would wish to call upon partners, private partners, public partners, to be able to invest in this initiative, because it's one of the sustainable ways of ensuring that there's that public service efficiency, because once we're able to tighten that gap a bit, it's very easy for us to be able to deliver as a public service, to deliver better. Once these two generations are able to co-create solutions, once we are able to be accountable for our own actions, because I believe the public service we want all goes down to the Kenya we want. Once the public service is really streamlined and everything is working well, the systems are working, very easy to have that Kenya that we all want. So we are calling upon our partners to come through. This is an event that will be happening every year. So we hope for more and more partnerships moving forward. And yeah, everyone is welcome to attend. We welcome everybody. Yeah.
So if someone who is watching wants to attend, how do they do it? Where do they get the information and ticket, if there is?
Yeah, the information is at the Kenya School of Government website. They can also reach out to their email. And we also have our own email, the PSYF Executive Committee @gmail.com. But I think it will be easier for everyone to reach out to the Kenya School of Government, because they have the website and the details on their social medias.
All right.
So yeah, everyone is very much welcome to attend.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. And I just want to give you an opportunity, if you have, anything that you want to close with from the whole conversation. I've said a lot of things. So if there's one thing that you'd want to leave the audience with, let me just start with you and then close with the President. You can speak to the camera.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, I would wish to say a huge thank you to the MD, KBC, and to our institutions for allowing us to be here. And one thing I believe 100% is that life meets you at your level of audacity. So be audacious.
Oh, I love that. I have taken that. I'm borrowing that from you. I'll be using it. Life meets you at your level of audacity. So be audacious. Amazing. President David, tell us your last say.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. As we wrap this up, I would also like to thank you, my organization, the Kenya Post Authority, and also the Ministry of Defense and other organizations that have given us this chance to be heard as the youth of this nation. And then I will call on everyone, let us build the Kenya we want, and also let us put humanity to service. Yes, thank you so much for hosting us, and God bless Kenya.
It's a pleasure. Let's build the Kenya we want and put humanity at service, right?
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. Great ways to end this conversation. We have had two amazing guests with us. That was David Riungu, who's the chairman of the executive committee and the president of the Public Service Youth Forum. We've also had Mumbwa Chalo, who's the advisor to both Public Service Youth Forum and the Executive Committee, talking to us. Much appreciation. Now we're going to switch gears. Brian Sakwa will be coming up with the next conversation that's very interesting. You definitely want to be a part of it. Remember, the hashtag is Y in the morning. Talk to us at Y254 channel.